Good morning everyone, welcome back to Books and Chooks. My name's Sabrina and today I'm going to be doing a reading vlog. It's currently 9:30 on a Saturday morning. I have 3 books that I want to read today. So the first one is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I've heard so many good things about this series and I've been so excited to start it for the last week. I ended up actually buying the rest of the series the other day, even though I haven't started it yet, just because it just looks adorable and I'm super excited to read that one. So the next one is The Signalman, which is a ghost story by Charles Dickens. It is very tiny, it's the size of my head. It's only about 50 pages long, but yeah, I'm excited for that one. I love the cover too. And the last one is a non-fiction, and it is Palace of Broken Dreams, which is a brief history of the Beechworth Asylum. And I've been there for a tour one time. It was so interesting, but it was also really, really sad. And I've wanted to read a book about it since. So I'm hoping to get through all of these today at some point. And I thought I'd take you along with me to share my thoughts and stuff. Definitely this one is the one I'm most excited for, so I think I might start with this one. It's a bit of a rainy day, so it's probably a good day to do a vlog and to kind of stay inside curled up with a book. Let's start reading. You know. Hi chickens. It's a bit of a miserable morning, isn't it? Although you're finding good stuff in the swampy backyard. Look who we have! Nancy? You gonna say hi? It's a bit cold out there today, isn't it? Excuse you. Nance. Oh, what was that? What's this on your wing? Back to reading. Alright, so I'm currently at page 70. I know that's not that far in, I guess. I like it already. I love the artwork in it. It's just adorable. I feel like it's it's got very relatable characters in there. I really like Nick. He just seems like such a nice guy who has no judgment for anyone. He doesn't listen to all the gossip and everything. He makes his own mind up about people, and he just seems like such a nice guy. It's just very adorable, the friendship that is kind of blossoming between him and Charlie. I'm really enjoying it so far though. So I've just, okay, hang on. I gotta bookmark it, otherwise I'll forget where I am. So Ben's an asshole. Nick is very protective and so caring, which I absolutely love. Like he was worried about the way that Charlie was acting in the change rooms, and so he followed him, and then he saved him from Ben, and he's just so nice. Like don't we all want a Nick? I love his character. Like I just love his character. And then they've just come to a bit which I find so relatable. Charlie said sorry a couple of times for causing Nick to worry, and Nick's like, you know, you say sorry a lot, and I'm like, that is me. Back to reading. Alright, so I just finished Heartstopper and I loved it. The ending is very much a cliffhanger in my opinion, and it's kind of sad. Nick just leaves Charlie kind of on his own at the party after they've kissed, and then Charlie's kind of there questioning his choices and apologizing to Nick even though Nick's left the room. So I feel like he's feeling a bit guilty and silly, and it's a bit heartbreaking. I'm glad that I ordered the rest of the series books during the week because they'll be coming in the next couple of days, and I can continue on because I really want to know where it goes from here, because obviously Nick is confused, Charlie's sure about his sexuality and who he is and that he likes Nick, but now he's feeling guilty and he's unsure that Nick reciprocates the feelings because of what happened, and I just want to know what happens, and I want them to get their happy ending because they do make a really cute couple. So I think what I'm going to go do now is I need to go do some housework. I'm going to do the dishes so it looks like I've been slightly productive today. So I'm going to go do that. Hi guys, so I've just finished doing some housework and spent a bit of time with the chickens, and now I'm going to start reading my second book of the day, which is Palace of Broken Dreams, A Brief History of Beechworth Asylum. If you've watched some of my previous videos, you would know that I am a bit of a history geek. One time I stopped past Beechworth and I got a tour of the asylum, and it was really interesting. And I know a lot of people think that asylums are creepy places, but when I went there it was just sad, and especially when you found out the reasons that people were committed. But yeah, I just thought I'd give you a bit of background about why I'm reading this. Hi guys, so I'm currently about halfway through this one, and it's very interesting. Like, there's a lot of things that I knew or that is familiar from when I went there, and one of them is the part that I'm reading at the moment, which is about the women's ward for the insane, and it's really interesting. So I remember when I went there on a tour, they showed us the original maniac ward is what they called it, and it had 6 original cells from the 1860s, which is what it's saying here. It's just really interesting because these cells had wooden panels above the windows where if you pulled a lever it would slide down and cover the window, because back then they thought that the moon affected people who were insane, or who they considered to be insane. That's obviously where we get the word lunatics, lunar, from the moon. So yeah, it's really interesting. If you do live in Victoria, I would definitely recommend checking out Beechworth Asylum, because there's some really interesting parts of history there. I'm just seeing some pictures. I don't know if you'll be able to see this very well, but that is a picture of the original cell doors, and this is a picture of teeth and nail marks that the prisoners left on the inside of the doors trying to get out. And which it's crazy to think that like that's been there since the 1860s, well, from the 1860s onwards. So I'm a little bit further on, and I just thought I'd like stop and kind of, I love like talking about history, okay? And like whenever I come across a really cool little bit of info, like I just want to share it. So as part of the Beechworth Asylum, they had a toy shop that was there, and it was built so that the male prisoners could undertake crafts such as woodwork and painting, and the women had their own kind of area where they could do needlework, embroidery, and painting and other stuff like that as well. But yeah, apparently the toy shop that they had on site at Beechworth, the products that the patients created were actually sold to the public by the wives of the staff. The funds raised from those purchases were used to purchase Christmas gifts and other treats for the patients, which I think is a really nice part of that history. That as much as there is a lot of, I guess, controversial stuff that happened in 19th century, 20th century asylums, there is that aspect that, there were a lot of staff that did work at those places that really cared about the patients, that wanted the best for them. Got some more interesting stuff to tell you guys. So I heard about this when I went there on the tour. I'm pretty sure they use this at other asylums as well, but at Beechworth, which was called Mayday Hills, they have these things called ha-ha walls. And basically, in the early days of the asylum, they obviously had to have a wall around it to make sure that the patients didn't escape, especially because a lot of them were criminally insane or had mental illnesses that people of the time didn't understand. And so they wanted to make sure that they stayed in the asylum so that they could keep an eye on them and they didn't pose a danger to the public or to themselves. So they had these things called ha-ha walls constructed, which it says here, from the outside the wall looks low, while on the inside there is a trench that kind of slopes down to the wall. I thought it was interesting the way they built this. They didn't want the patients to feel trapped, even though they kind of were. They didn't want them to feel trapped, so they built these walls at the bottom of like a slope, so that if you stood at the top of the slope you could see over the walls. But as you walked down the hill to the wall actually was quite high. Yeah, so I think that's pretty cool that they, did that to try and make the patients feel a bit better, even though they were still technically trapped in there, because I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that to be admitted into an asylum back in like the 1800s and the early 1900s, you only needed like 1 or 2 people to say they're crazy or something's wrong with them. And then to get out, you needed like multiple people to give you like the okay, including medical professionals, your family, and a whole bunch of other people. So it was very easy to get in and it was very hard to get out. And that's why there were a lot of people that ended up dying in asylums, because you couldn't get out. And the other sad thing is that most of the people that went in there were not insane at all, in the slightest. I think what's really cool at the end of this book, it has a list of the reasons that they admitted people into asylums between the 1860s and the 1910s. And some of them are just ridiculous. Like, I'll read you some. So you could be admitted for falling off a horse, if you argued with your husband, if you were disobedient, if you were unmarried, if you couldn't have kids, if you were old, if you had asthma, if you were lazy, grieving, if you couldn't speak English, you were put in there for superstition, if you were hit by a wagon, if you wore red. Like, it's just crazy. It's interesting, but it's crazy, like, you know, seeing how far we've come, and like, especially with mental illnesses or mental like afflictions and other disabilities. Like, you know, back then they were considered insane and they were all thrown in asylums, and nowadays it's just like the change. And that's only, what, 100 years ago, which is not that long ago when you think about it. And it's just really sad. Like, I know, like I said earlier, a lot of people look at asylums and think, oh, they're creepy, don't like them, don't want to go there, all that kind of stuff. They're not. It's sad, because most of the people that were in there were normal. Most of the people in there didn't pose any risk. It was just that whatever they had wasn't understood at the time. But yeah, that's the second book of the day read. I'm probably gonna have a bit of a break now, have something to eat, and then I will read The Signalman a bit later tonight. I feel like it'd be better to read when it's dark.
Audrey, Owen, Eleanor.
Hi guys, so I'm currently sitting inside on my armchair. It's 6:15 and I am about to start reading my last book for the day, which is, if I can glint the light, ooh, very shiny, The Signalman by Charles Dickens. So I just finished Charles Dickens' The Signalman. I liked it. It wasn't anything super amazing. It was a very kind of eerie setting. The opening to a railway tunnel. The ghost gave the signalman warnings when bad things were about to happen. Probably explained it really badly, but like I said, I liked it. I think it's really interesting that Charles Dickens wrote this based on his own fears from when he was in a railway accident at some point in his life. So I think it's really interesting that he drew from that to create this story. That's my daily vlog come to an end. I ended up reading the 3 books that I wanted to read. So obviously I read Heartstopper this morning, which was my favourite read of today. I loved it. I'm so excited to read the second one when it comes. And I can't wait to see where Charlie and Nick's story goes from here. The next one I read this afternoon obviously was, The Palace of Broken Dreams. I found this really interesting, and I know a little bit more about the background history of Beechworth Asylum. So that one was a good little informative piece. Not very long at all either, so easy to get through. And then the one we just read, The Signalman. So that was the last one I read today. And like I said, I liked it. It wasn't the most amazing thing I've ever read, but it definitely was on point with the eerie setting. So those are the 3 that I read today. I'm really happy that I read those. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did enjoy this vlog, please leave a like and a comment down below. Let me know what books you're currently reading. And if you're interested in keeping up with my TBR and the daily life of my chickens and stuff like that, you can follow my Instagram. It is at booksandchooks21. I'll put it on the screen here. I will talk to you all in my next video. See you guys.